Hello, and welcome to my little visual podcast. I will be talking about a variety of items from a physiological perspective. A bit of background about myself. I am currently pursuing my doctoral studies in physiology with the University of Stellenbosch in South Africa. Today we will be talking about the recent media storm that's come about as a result of the court decision that ruled that Caster Semenya will have to reduce her testosterone levels by taking artificial or externally sourced, hormonal supplementation or contraceptives. Now, the first thing I would like to discuss is the topic of testosterone. Now, for those who don't know, testosterone is known as the primary sex hormone in males. It's also produced in females as well. It's produced in males in the testes and in females in the ovaries. Females tend to produce about 2 nanomolar per liter of blood of testosterone, while males tend to produce about 7 to 8 nanomolar of testosterone per liter of blood. Now, like I said, testosterone is a hormone, and hormones are basically messengers which deliver, signals or deliver final signals in the body. They basically instruct the body to take a certain shape or to do certain processes, depending on the current state of the body. There's a variety of types of hormones. We have exogenous hormones on a macro level and endogenous hormones. Now, endogenous hormones are hormones that you produce in your own body, within your own body, to be used by yourself. All right. So exogenous hormones are hormones that you source from an external source, and they can be injected into the body or taken orally, and they are also used to instruct the body to perform certain processes. Now, I'll be taking this, on a pretty basic level. But exogenous hormones are also very well known in mainstream media as steroids, the same steroids we hear so much about. I get questioned all the time about steroids, but we'll deal with that in another video. So yeah, what's the situation with Caster Semenya? Well, Caster Semenya has a condition known as hyperandrogenism, which means that her production of this hormone testosterone is elevated. She tends to produce somewhere in the mid-range between above the average for females and just slightly below the average for males. Now, let's just make it clear that these values do vary between people, and you do have women who produce above the average for women and males who produce below or even above the average for men. In actual fact, most elite female athletes produce more testosterone than the average woman. And that also brings us to, the situation at hand, in that testosterone is known, especially exogenous testosterone, is classified as a performance-enhancing drug. Now, the reason why it's classified as this is because it does lead to certain effects that could improve your ability as an athlete. It leads to improved muscle development, improved recovery. It leads to an elevated level of aggression, which you do need to perform as a competitive athlete. Now, all of these factors mean that Caster Semenya's elevated testosterone levels may actually benefit her when it comes to being an athletic performer. But now the question is, should she be asked to artificially reduce her testosterone levels? And that question is one that brings in a lot of controversial angles into it. The first thing I'd like to just state, it's a bit of a speculation. From my research, I believe Caster Semenya is primarily female. She's not ambiguous, and her organs and genitals have all developed as a female, which means that our pre-birth testosterone levels were not sufficient to induce the development of male organs, which means she is biologically female. So all she has is a condition known as hyperandrogenism, as I said earlier, and so she produces more testosterone than the average. Now, I think this is something that is pretty much common ground amongst elite athletes. Most elite athletes have some sort of advantage genetically over the average person, or and the best elite athletes have a genetic advantage over other elite athletes who are working just as hard as they are. I'll give you an example. When it comes to tennis, you have tennis players who are above 6 foot tall. You have examples like Mariah Sharapova and Venus Williams. Mariah Sharapova is 6'2", Venus Williams is 6'1". Now that height is way above even the average height for men. Now this genetic advantage, as we would like to put it, gives her a huge competitive advantage as well, because she's able to serve facing downwards using the force of gravity to exert more power into her serves. She's also able to reach around the court a lot better than most other smaller average sized or slightly above average sized athletes. And these are the normal advantages you get as an elite athlete. So the question lies, does it not become a contradiction that Caster Semenya is being asked to take exogenous hormones, or basically steroids, to reduce her natural production of testosterone just because it has been speculated to give her a competitive edge? I think that is a huge rabbit hole that we do not want to start digging into, because how do we begin to level the playing field, and who decides when we should level the playing field? It's I think very unethical, and it's very much unfair that she's having to go through that, because when you have a genetic advantage, it's normally described as your gift. It's never described as something that you are prosecuted for, and you usually get praised for having that genetic advantage. And do we begin to screen every single athlete that has a bit of a slight genetic advantage, or even if a major genetic advantage, just because we want to even the playing field? What's the whole concept of elite athleticism? I think it's very much unethical, and it's very contradictory as well, and it really belies the integrity of sport and even medical science and medicine. If an athlete is asked to artificially reduce their natural production of hormones to be able to compete with other athletes. That is my slight physiological perspective on this. I haven't gone into too much detail, and I would like, for a bit of discourse with regards to this. If I've gotten something wrong, I'm happy to get corrected, but that's where I see it from, considering my background. And I really hope wish the best of luck to Caster Semenya, and hope she is able to get over this challenge in her career. Thank you very much for listening to me.